I've been in this space long enough to see that there's a common pattern between successful and unsuccessful people within the industry. You know, I'm still going through this journey myself, don't get me wrong, but I can see from a perspective of noticing how others behave, noticing their common habits, and noticing their results tied to that as well. So it's super important to go all in. You know, if you come into trading thinking that you're going to have it cracked in 3 months, you're going to be able to trade 2 hours a week sitting on a beach in Bali early on within the journey, it isn't going to happen like that.
I know it's gonna hurt, but you're worth fighting for.
What's up guys, and welcome to today's video. So right now I'm currently waiting for a potential setup on Euro Yen. So I'm going to see how that develops over the next couple of hours. But in the meantime, I thought it'd be a great idea right now to get the camera out, start filming, because this is a key video that I really think a lot of people will take away. Some really key value points. The reason being as well is that a lot of people that I've noticed start out in trading right now, within quarantine, within lockdown. So what a great time to put a video out like this and really give people that beneficial information based on my experience, to really give them a head start. So really wanted to do that. So without further ado, let's get straight into today's video, covering the 5 tips on how to learn Forex. So starting off with the first key point, which is setting measurable targets. Oh, hang on, hold that thought. I've got delivery, give me 2 minutes. Haha, so check that. So just got a new book, which is Elliott Wave Principle. Let me know if you've read that, by the way. But yeah, got a few books recently. So just before we go off topic, I picked up 2 books yesterday as well. Being number 1, The New Psycho-Cybernetics, meant to be a really good book, and then talking about the BBC with Brainwashing Britain, so interesting read there as well. But yeah, so without further ado, let's get back into the video and let's talk about measuring targets. Now, tip number 1 of this video is going to be to set measurable targets when you come into trading. You know, for me personally, I'm sure a lot of you can resonate too. I've had the word realistic or think realistic thrown at me my entire life. The truth that I really believe in is the fact that in order to get somewhere in life and in order to achieve big things, you can't be thinking realistic. You have to be one of those outcasts that actually think unrealistic, because that's just the truth. Because if you're thinking in that mediocre mentality, that realistic mentality, the truth is that you're going to set your standards way too low, and that can be the same within everything that you do. So there's a common phrase as well, I'm sure you've heard of it. I'm paraphrasing here, but it goes something like, reach for the moon, because if you fail, you're going to land upon the stars. The amount of times where I've set a huge target for myself, I haven't quite reached that, but I've essentially failed forward. So I've got much further ahead than what I would have done had I set a much lower standard, a much lower target for myself. So same concept goes here. However, in my experience so far, trading is a little bit different. It's so important to have these big goals of the amount of capital you want to trade, all these different things that could come as a byproduct of that money that you acquire. Very important that you know what to do with that money, by the way, which is what I think I'll experience in the future too. But trading can be a little bit different, because say for example you want to become consistent, right? You can't really force consistency. You can't say, okay, yeah, let me be consistent within 3 months into starting my trading journey. It just doesn't work like that. So I think it's important to, although it's important to think big, you need to set realistic targets when you come into trading, because the amount of people that I see on social media claiming that they're successful within 3 months, 6 months, it's crazy, you know? And a lot of people get caught up into this. A lot of people see people like that and think that it's definitely achievable within 3 months. Then disaster hits when they come into trading with that wrong perspective of how long it's going to take, and then 3 months into the line they're wondering why they're not consistent, why they're not successful. It's because of perspective, and it's because they've been conditioned to the fact that it's possible within 3 months. I'm not saying it's not possible. There's probably 1 or 2 people that have done it out there, but I'm just saying in most cases it's going to take a lot of time, it's going to take a lot of sacrifice, a lot of hard work, a lot of discipline to get to where you want to get to. And for me personally, I'm still going through that journey too. So it's important that you go into trading, at least think longer term. If you come into trading, right, and you have that mindset that, okay, well, if this takes me 5 years to master, get consistency, get the capital that I want to acquire and do all these things myself, then at least you have that right perspective, you have that right foundation coming into trading. Because if you do come into trading with that mindset, you're laying a good foundation for yourself, versus wondering why you're not consistent within 3 months, start beating yourself up, and then just go through a whole spiral of self-sabotage and just, you know, beating yourself down. So it's important. Perspective is one of the biggest things for me personally. I tell this to people all the time, is how it's your mindset coming into trading. That is one of the biggest things. So do not underestimate that fact.
Trading is such a paradox because you want to protect capital. So you think, am I willing to invest? Am I willing to risk my capital in this trade?
Yeah.
You have to remove yourself, attached to the money, and pretend like, well, you know, you don't have the attachment to the money.
Very true.
Right there and then, it's almost like those two things are very contradictory.
Yeah, true. I like that idea, you know. Now moving on to tip number 2, which is the 80-20 principle. So if you haven't checked out, this is slowly becoming a book video, but if you haven't checked out the 80-20 principle by Richard Koch, I think that's how you pronounce it. It's a really good book. It's really good. It's quite a read, as you can see. It's quite depthy. But it's a really good read. Highly recommend that. And there's certain principles within that book that can be applied to your trading too. So one of my top 10 favorite books at this point in time. So the 80-20 principle, for those of you who aren't familiar with the concept, what it basically means is that in all areas of life, 80% of the results that you have come from 20% of the actions that you take. So what can you do with that knowledge? Well, it means that if you really dial in on that 20%, you need to figure out what that 20% is first and foremost. But then once you have it figured out, once you have that foundation, it means that you can leverage that and double down on that concept, because that is what's super valuable. So even in my own journey, even from my trading perspective, you could say that 80% of the results come from 20% of the trades, or 80% of the progression comes from 20% of the actions. Similar thing, it's not always going to be different for everyone, especially within the results space. I don't think that's specifically true within trading, but it's more so the progression side of the trading, which is important. So I think that's key. But an area that you can use this in, let's say for example that, and this is more for people that have been through that foundational stage of their trading. If you apply this too quick, it's probably not going to work to your advantage. So what I mean by that is, let's say you're starting to learn how to trade right, which a lot of you guys are. Now, when you come into a strategy, it's going to be so important that you go through every single bit of the content so that you can apply different parts of that content to your trading. But once you've got through that foundational stage, and once you know what you're doing a little bit with the strategy, that's when you can start to leverage this principle. So what you can do is, let's say you want to work on your entries, or you want to work on your psychology or your management, whatever part of trading it is, you can tailor your content to that. So that's you tapping into that 20% of the 80-20 principle. So okay, I need to work on my entries. Let me find a specific bit of content in alignment with that, and let me focus on that until I master that, and then let me move on from there. Same goes within backtesting. It's so easy to go onto a backtest in Eurodollar or dollar CAD and just do the generalized approach, you know, the bar replay and trading view, and just skip time all the time. And that's a good approach for sure. But once you get specific with it and really go, okay, how can I leverage this 80-20 principle? Okay, well, I want to backtest this go-to setup. I want to backtest 3 touch channels, whatever your strategy is. Okay, let me find 5 examples of that, let me find 10 examples of that, and let me dive into specifically mastering that type of entry. That is you leveraging this concept to a T, and I really find it helps speed up the journey a lot, and I really find it helps speed up that progression in certain areas of trading. So hopefully that helps. Really key point there. So the tip number 3 is going all in. Now, I've been in this space long enough to see that there's a common pattern between successful and unsuccessful people within the industry. You know, I'm still going through this journey myself, don't get me wrong, but I can see from a perspective of noticing how others behave, noticing their common habits, and noticing their results tied to that as well. So it's super important to go all in. You know, if you come into trading thinking that you're going to have it cracked in 3 months, you're going to be able to trade 2 hours a week sitting on a beach in Bali early on within the journey, it isn't going to happen like that. It's super unrealistic to even think that, and I can see where it comes from. It stems from social media, these marketing things that we see on these spam comments, all these different get rich quick schemes that we see on Instagram, right? I get where it comes from, but at the same time, you have to come into trading with that right perspective. It doesn't work like that, guys. It takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of perseverance, and if you go into trading thinking that you're going to have it cracked in 3 months, definitely wrong. You know, for me personally, I'm still going through this journey myself. I'm 3 years in. Am I getting bored or anything like that? Definitely not. I love the journey. I love the journey more than ever now, and it's just perspective. So yeah, that is so key. For myself personally, there's a common mindset that I see coming into trading of people that drop off within 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months, is that a lot of them, you'll notice if you spot this from a I was going to say a high time frame point of view, an outside perspective, is that they want to get rich quick. They want to master it within 3 months. They want to treat this as a side hustle to give, you know, minimum effort for the maximum output. The truth is that comes in time. It does not happen quickly. If you notice that you know, some of the most successful business people, a lot of those still work really good hours and really put the time in and the effort and stuff like that. So it's super important. And if you look at sports people, business people, they do not come into their industry thinking that, yeah, okay, let me go 50-50, let me go 60-40. They go 110% in. They put in maximum effort because they know longer term, I'm going to have the results. May not always be straight away. For me personally, it wasn't straight away. It was 2 years before I even broke through into consistency. Think about that. Think about that timeline. It can take time. There's been so many head banging against the wall moments that I've had and still have to this day of challenges that I have to go overcome and setbacks and hurdles. But it's all part of the journey. You develop yourself, you get a better character, you know yourself more. These are all character traits of successful people that is going to benefit you 10, 20 years down the line. Stop thinking in terms of 3 months. No one cares about 3 months. No one cares about even 1 year. Think about the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, that generational wealth that can be compounded through trading if you really just put in the time and really focus on skill. Nice. There's no right or wrong here, by the way. Working a 9 to 5 can be a great advantage point if you really leverage that time, because it can build really great habits such as time management, time prioritization. Stuff like that can really impact your trading on a positive level. Part-time, love that, nice. 8:30 till 6, nice. Yeah, whatever hours you work, it's more about the quality of quantity. So for example, if you only have 2 hours at night, for example, and you can't get on the charts any more times throughout the day. We'll cover that later in the webinar when we get on the charts too. So apologies if you do catch me on going on a rant sometimes. You know, I'm super passionate about this. Yeah, I will be doing you guys a disservice if I was to tell you, yeah, it's easy, you know, post fake pictures on Instagram and sit on a beach in Bali and it's all fine and good. Like, it's not like that. It takes time, it takes a lot of effort, like I've explained on multiple videos now. So hopefully you guys are seeing the bigger picture. Longer term mindset beats all. But swiftly moving on to the 4th point, which is ignore the noise. You know, trading has to be one of the most noisiest spaces when it comes to people getting confused of not only where to learn, but where to even start. You know, the amount of spammy comments you get on even YouTube now. Look at some of the YouTube videos I have. You just get spammy comments, people trying to advertise their own content, and people just, a lot of it's common sense. I can see right through it, and I'm sure a lot of you guys can too. A lot of it is common sense, but a lot of people don't have that skill yet to be able to identify which one's real, which one's fake. So it takes time to learn that. I understand that. And even in regards to, even just ranting on again, but like sometimes I get the most basic questions on Instagram of, okay, I get messages like, what's a pip? Like, what's a pip and all this like basic stuff. You have Google. Like, you can ask me for sure, but you have Google right in front of you. If you can't Google and find out for yourself what these basic terms are, then don't expect to be willing to go through the trading journey and figure out all these challenges by yourself and all this stuff as well. So another rant as well, but just common sense and just basic knowledge of, you have tools right in front of you, just use it. But directing this back to the key point that I really wanted to mention here is the fact that a lot of people can get confused of where to start trading. It can be hard. I understand that. It was hard for me when I first started as well. It's one of the earlier things that you go through within the trading journey of figuring out who to learn from, what mentors to seek out. And this is a key as well. Seek out mentors who are in the position that you want to be in. You know, if you're getting someone and you're learning from someone who trades, you know, a very small account and they've been consistent for 3 months, and like it's probably not going to work. You want to seek mentors who've been in this game for a long period of time. They've been consistent for a while. They have the results that you want to be. They're living the lifestyle you want to be, or at least on that journey as well. So that's key. I think the fact that, you know, I'm a big believer in Falcon, so you guys know that I'm a big believer in Falcon. I'm a team member at Falcon too, and I highly recommend their content. But at the same time, if you're going to look for ways to start out your trading journey, do some research. Once again, Google is right in front of you. Social media is right in front of you. Do your research, talk to different members, talk to different students, have their perspective on how they're enjoying their course, their community, whatever they're involved in, and then kind of piece the pieces of the jigsaw together and then find out your own answer from there. The truth is that there's not a black and white picture. You know, I'm big on Falcon, I'm a big believer in Falcon, and I highly recommend that. But at the same time, there's not a black and white picture. You guys need to do your own research and figure out where you want to go. So hopefully that helps. That's point number 4. Let's move on to point number 5. Moving on to the last tip of the video. This is a really important one as well. Before we do that, make sure you like this video, make sure you subscribe, stay notified for new videos on this channel. They're going to be super important going forward. Got a lot of good content for you guys going forward. So yeah, tip number 5 again is focusing on yourself. We're in a time right now where social media is a big part of our lives. There's no denying that. There's no turning away from that. There's no shying away from that. But use social media in the right way. Follow the right people. Follow the people that give you inspiration, give you valuable content that's actually going to improve your life, versus comparing yourself to other people and being like, you start to put people on a pedestal and be like, I'm so far away from those people, never going to be like them. They've got this perfect, they're living this life, they've got this much money. Whatever it is, do not compare yourself to other people. The moment you do that, you start to infatuate with those people and then you just push them on a pedestal. It's just not needed. You do not do it. You do not need to do it. And you're beating yourself up subconsciously by doing that. So focus on yourself. Make sure you use social media in the right ways. Follow the right people and don't compare yourself to other people. I think this is a thing that we see a lot of younger people do, compare themselves to other people. But the truth is that a lot of people do it no matter what age you are. You're comparing yourself to different celebrities, different people that you looked up to, whatever it is. Do not do it. Do not do it. Follow the right people. Focus on your own lane. Stay in your own lane and really focus on your journey as a whole, because if you do that, then you're not comparing yourself to other people. And another thing is trades too. If you see other people post trades on social media, don't be like, I missed out on that trade. No, if that trade does not fit your plan, despite whether it's a win, a loss, or break even, you don't need to take it. You do not even need to get caught up into that. So stay in your own lane, focus on what you can control, and focus on your own path to consistency. So after 5 key points that we've outlined in this video, I really hope you've enjoyed it. I've definitely got a dead arm from trying to hold the camera for too long, but apart from that, I think the main productivity hack I would give you in terms of that point number 5 as well, just put your phone away, guys. Make it a commitment to not touch your phone for the first 3 hours of the day, unless it's priority, unless you've got a trade to manage, a trade to take, whatever it is. Try and keep your phone on airplane mode, silent, turn off, in another room so that you cannot touch it. I promise you'll make more progression in that 3 hours and that compound effect of that day in, day out than you would have done checking your phone here and there, checking Instagram, checking people's stories, checking Snapchat, whatever it is. Focus on yourself. Make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Make sure you click that subscribe button down below and hit that notification bell so that you do not miss out on future episodes coming very, very shortly. I have an extra episode coming for you very shortly too. And last but not least, I just wanted to say thank you as well for 50k. So I don't really like to celebrate milestones too much, but at the same time it's good to kind of appreciate that, take a step back and just realize how far we've all come. So I appreciate that. I've got something special for you guys coming soon, which is going to be a YouTube live, so cannot wait for that. Stay tuned, and stay tuned on the community tab on YouTube for more updates, and Instagram for any potential Instagram lives in the near future too. So that's going to be good. But yeah, speak to you all soon, guys. Have a good week ahead in the markets. Stay safe. Speak to you all soon.
With